Hello and welcome to a VO's Journey podcast. My name is Anthony Pica. This show is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all the crazy things that I seem to step on. It is May 19th. It's a Friday. It is great to be coming to you guys to do a podcast. I'm really excited to share with you everything that's going on and how we are starting to drive traffic and get audiobook narration work through Hypothesis. I'm going to show you how to use, it's, of course, I'm going to share with you what we're doing at Academy Voices, and hopefully we're going to start getting even more traction, but how we're getting work. We've got some new work with Pocket FM, and, just kind of the what's going on with the whole journey. All right, let's do it.
This is VO's Journey. With your host, the incomparable Anthony Pica.
Okay, so I am actually outside the booth narrating this podcast in my editing space, and I thought I would sit in my comfy chair, then standing up for 30 minutes in my booth to narrate. So I thought, hey, this would be nice to sit in my chair. However, I know you because I can hear the echo because I got my door open in the back and there's nice airflow, but it's not perfecto soundo. But I bet you guys don't mind. So I'm excited to kind of just chat with you guys about everything that's going on. Really excited. And, it's interesting looking back on these couple hundred episodes, the journey to here. It's been quite an impressive ride so far, and I bring it up because before we get into everything else, it's kind of funny. I've been talking the last couple of days, I coach a lot and help a lot of voice actors, new voice actors especially, get, started up and running. And it's always interesting to go back and remember where we started, and on this podcast, I get a lot of people say, they start to listen to the podcast from the beginning. And, to remember, I used to work a full-time job. I'd come home every night, be with the family, dinner, put everybody to bed, come down. I would put up my hobo fort, my PVC pipes and packing blankets. And, I would start to record auditions for audiobooks every night. And then I would get work and I would record the audiobooks, and I would fight with the refrigerator that was right in the next room that would never stop running. It seemed like the water line was always running. Now, looking back on it, I bet that was a problem, but it was an old refrigerator. It was our first house together. My wife and I, our first house together. And it was we lived in that house for quite a while now that I look back on it, because we got married in 2004 and then we got our first house in 2006. So we were at that house for pretty much like 10 years. 10, 11 years. And I know that doesn't seem like maybe a great deal now that I think about it, in the scope of our lifetimes, but that was a long time. I mean, compared to the last couple of houses, because we've had a couple houses since then, as we move into where we are now. But anyways, I don't know why I'm telling you about the different houses that I've had in my life, but I think it just brings to the point of the growth that we all experience and how it's so crazy to look at it over a long period of time, as opposed to how you're looking at it right at this moment, like where you are right now and the challenges that you face, and how it's so hard to see the future, right? Because everything is so vital and so important right at this moment that you've got to get your audio right. You've got to somehow get demos. You can't understand why all those people sound better than you. I mean, that's something that I remember a lot. And I also hear a lot of voice actors always talking about, why do that person and that person, their stuff sound so much better than mine? Mine sounds muffled or over processed, or, there's always like I remember that big time of the sound was always an issue for me. Like, why does my stuff sound? I would say 50% of the time it is a difference. And the other 50% of the time, it is also a lot to do with you and how you view your voice, right? And also how you're EQing too. Oh, someone's calling on the phone, but I'm not going to answer. Um, so I think that is something important to think about as well. But getting past that first part, that's challenging as well. I'm not going to lie. Getting past that and getting the confidence honestly comes from just continuing to move forward and getting jobs. And it's always the chicken and the egg when you're first starting out. The chicken and the egg. How do I get jobs? How do I get jobs? And I think that moving from that thing, how to get jobs, I've over the years, starting with ACX and then moving to Fiverr, throughout those two platforms, I've made incredible money. I mean, in my perspective, I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars between the two platforms, and it's been incredible. And so, I spent so much of my time on those platforms. And now I think as we've grown to this point where we are now, it is more challenging, I think, to get a lot of work on places like Fiverr. Now, trust me, there's tons of work there, and I'm still there. I just did a job right before before this. I had to sign an NDA about it, so I couldn't talk about it. But nice job, and like you guys might have known, I turned pro on Fiverr. I decided to do that because, quite honestly, between you and me, you're gonna laugh, but I was bored. I've done, I did a top rated seller. I was like, I want to try something new on Fiverr, like what it's pro like. I've never tried pro. I was interested in the price structure because, you can't start, like, you start at $100 and up. I told that they market to different clientele. So, let's just give it a shot. And, it's been interesting because, I don't know so much if they're marketing to a different clientele. The clients don't seem any different than my other clients used to be, but what they do seem different is they do pay. So like I'd got my average up because I was charging $50 per 100 words on Fiverr, with like 35 commercial rights and like 55 or 60 broadcast rights. My overall average price was around $90. But now as a pro seller, my base price is $100, but I charge $150 for commercial rights and $300 for broadcast rights. But those are for either 3-month usage if it's a broadcast or like in commercial form, or it's a production fee, a one-time production fee of $150 plus the studio fee if it's like an internally restricted video. So what I'm learning is I'm doing a lot. So my average is now around $250 to $300 per job. Now, of course, I'm not doing as many jobs, but I'm still getting. I'm really actually surprised at the jobs. They're coming to me. Again, not a lot, but if my jobs are between $250 to $350. And that means that one, two, three. So, that was like, one job equals 3 of my previous jobs, you know what I mean? And so, I find it's kind of nice. I'm noticing that I'm doing a lot of corporate narration. I'm doing corporate narration. I'm signing more NDAs, just more corporate stuff, which makes sense, right? Because corporations got the money. But it is interesting, that difference. It's interesting. I like it. I like it. So, but anyways, the point I'm trying to make to you is kind of leading all this into Academy Voices and kind of what we're doing there. The big reason after all this time and doing all this and starting to coach, coaching everybody I have, and with the VO's Journey Elite Academy, there's so many of you all are just incredible. You're incredible voice actors, way better than me, and just have such dynamic possibilities. But I found that one of the biggest challenges that most of us have, or that most of my students have, or people I worked with, is that the marketing part, the business part of voiceover is a lot of times pushed to the side because a lot of us are, and rightly so, We have to spend a lot of time working on our craft, getting better as voice actors, right? I do think that I had a leg up on a lot of people just because I had a background and, I went and got my BFA, so my Bachelor in Fine Arts, right, for theater and acting. And then, now I didn't get I got an MA. My master's was in educational leadership. So it wasn't in theater, but, it was in education. And I, had worked professionally as an actor for a while, and then I had become a teacher, as you all know, as I've said, and I worked as a teacher for many years after I stopped acting professionally, and that was so. But I was coaching, I was teaching theater, right? And I was directing plays, coaching actors, doing work during, I would do some stage acting during the summer, and things like that. And so, I've been around theater acting, my whole adult life and a good portion of my, life as a minor. So, it's funny, minor. It's like, I don't know where that came. As a youngin. Anyways, so I have experience. I had experience. So I think that I got away with, which is funny because if you go back and listen to some of my audiobooks that I first started, because I didn't know what I was doing, so I just used my name, not a pseudonym. I sucked. At least I thought I sucked. Because I can't even go back and I listened to some of the books because when I started in 2017, right? Some of those, they're still up on Audible. You can listen to them. Some of the stuff, you could just type in Anthony Pica. I give you permission. Go laugh. Go have a laugh. And I can't even impersonate myself from back then because I don't know how I. Now, it's funny, and it's also interesting too. As we get older, we grow. You know what I mean? Like we also grow, and I think maybe our speech patterns can change and things like that. But I do think it is funny to listen back to those, So and to be like, gosh, I that was me. I can't even recognize my delivery, right? And part of me wishes I could go back and redo them all. Because I feel like I would do it so much better now. I mean, there would just be so much more confidence in my, I wouldn't be scared out of my mind that I was going to mess up or every time I remember recording a book for a long period of time, it literally was like the wild, wild west every time I sat down, meaning like, what voice was I going to use? Because I was using the audiobooks. Now, I'm not saying this is a great way to do it, although I like to move forward with things and not wait. But I was using the audiobooks too to find, to work on my deliveries. You know what I mean? Like I was using that. So every time I sat down, I was trying to figure out what I was going to sound like today. Like how was my delivery going to be better than it was last time? So it was always very exhausting, as opposed to, having your, as I teach now, right? Setting up specific archetypes, having specific deliveries that you can count on. And then within those deliveries, of course, you can play an improv, but having something that is, set in stone for you. But again, that comes with time. And that's what I was saying at the beginning of this, looking back, it's so wild to look over, 7 years, 6, 7 years or something. And, just doing voiceover and see the changes and the difference in me and what's happened just in our community and the market. So getting back to Voices, Academy Voices, that's our online casting website that I made. And a big reason why I made it too was because, like I was just saying, so many of our voice actors, you guys are amazing. And I wanted to find what I was saying is I said, a lot of people are great, but they're not getting a chance. Because it's not about how good they are. It's about how good they are at business, right? Or about like how good they are at getting work, finding work, getting in front of the right people, getting, people to click on them. Is their thumbnail compelling enough? You know what I mean? I think one of the, and I want to be open and honest with you guys in this about, I'm always open and honest, I guess, but I don't know why I say that, but I say it a lot. It's a habit, right? But I want to share with you, that's better. I want to share with you my thoughts on some of the stuff I've created. I think my thumbnail, my picture that I use, that main picture, the one even in this one for the VO's Journey podcast, it was a picture I will never forget. I was in my last house. I was in my car. It was a what was it? I think it was a car that I don't remember what it was. It was my old truck. It was a different car than I have now. But anyways, I had an iPhone, and I remember just messing around trying to take pictures of myself, and I was like, what is this setting? And it was this like studio setting for the iPhone where it like focuses in on your face, and then it tries to darken everything else behind you and everything like this. And this was in my car during the middle of the day. And I took this and I saw this picture. I was like, wow, that is really cool. I thought it was cool because I was like, oh my gosh, because I don't like, I'm a big guy. I'm bald. It's not like I've got a lot of great features that I feel is going on here. So I'm like, people just aren't interested in clicking on the picture with my ugly mug on it, So I feel like I lucked out with this picture. Now I will admit I had been trying all kinds of different ways to get an interesting looking picture, but this just happened, I think, by happenstance, right? Just came about by happenstance. And then I have this picture. Now I've used it everywhere. It's become like kind of synonymous with the VO's journey and me, is that black and white picture, which it's kind of mysterious a little bit. And, it just kind of, my face kind of fades into darkness and stuff, but I've used it over and over and over again for everything. And interestingly enough, I found that people really liked it. I guess what I'm getting at about this is that, a lot of the successful things that we do come from you stumbling upon them when you're trying a lot of stuff that isn't working, right? You're just trying stuff. You're just experimenting with stuff. So I found that a lot of my, my students, they struggle with that too. So I wanted to create a place where it looked beautiful. It gave voice actors not just a place to share their voices, but to also, be real, be human, no AI, no threat of AI, a person that was literally dedicated to making them look as good as possible. I mean, how often do you have that? I mean, we have all these websites we can get on, but we don't have people who, sit there and do their very best. And maybe, maybe that's how agents used to be, or maybe that's how things, and maybe there's some out there for a small thing, but the difference with me is what I realize is because we have a VO's Journey Elite Academy, you know what I mean? I can focus on this for a lot of people who are new or coming up, who are, who now, mind you, I if like someone has a demo and they bring, they put it and they submit to be on the Academy Voices, and I listen to the demo and it needs some work, I'll often give it some work, I'll put it in there and help spruce it up, just to try to get opportunities, because that's what I want to do. So I wanted to create something to give opportunities to people, not that didn't get them because they were struggling with the business part. They were struggling with the marketing part. And, I could help lead them more, effectively in that manner. Right. And I think it's made possible because we have this amazing community in the VO's Journey Elite Academy. If I didn't have all the couple hundred people that we have in the academy and they're so willing to help and participate and help grow this thing, I think it would be a lot harder. But because of that in our community, it's really going well. And basically, we landed our first job from Pocket FM, or our first long-term job. We've already had a couple of jobs go through the platform, but this is our first long-term job. Pocket FM is this company out of India, and they do audio series, lots of them, tons of them. And basically, we've started submitting, so they wanted to work with me from like a studio standpoint, with Academy Voices. And we've already got one. They've come back and said they're going to hire many more of us. They've got our stuff, and they're shortlisting a lot of our people for different shows, and it's really cool. I mean, like, I've spent so much time, and I still love doing voiceovers. Like, I did one before, and I've got another voiceover I've got to do for another client who does do commercials for them and their podcast as well. And I got some more stuff to do today for voiceovers personally, and I love that. But it's really cool to get work for other voice actors, right? And to see them succeed and to bring that work to them, because I think that, so many of us can shine if we just had that support, right? But nowadays it's hard to give support to as many people as possible, and still being able to feed of us all, right? I mean, like that's the challenge, right? And I think that's the challenge that's happened with Fiverr. This challenge that happened with Voices. The challenge that happened with everybody. So many of us have come into the market. Now, I will admit, there's a lot of people who are leaving, right? I mean, it's interesting because over the COVID and everything, a lot of people came home and there's a big boom, and there's still people coming into the market every day, but not as much as there was, and there's a lot of people from that time period who are quitting, you know what I mean, going back to different things, and that's okay. I mean, that happens. It's just definitely interesting to see those changes. And I do so I do I I do want to continue to help more of our people get work, and that's what's exciting about Pocket FM. It's like an audiobook kind of, you can look at it that way. They're audiobooks, but they're audio series. So they're episodes, and they just can keep going and going and going, and it's really exciting. So what I decided to do was start to look at Academy Voices, almost like one department at a time. So, I've built Academy, I built the whole website. We have a good number. I mean, we still have new, people, people are being put up on there every day and stuff like that. And, there's always, there's things being added, blog posts and things, but, from a department, like a genre standpoint, it's such a broad website because it's like, well, we'll do everything, right? And as I teach, that's kind of like the worst way to go about trying to get work, right? Because if you're trying to do everything, you're never going to get anything because it's just too much, right? Or at least it's too much for a small company like us. So without that capital. So what I decided to do was change the focus and begin to look at every genre that we have, specifically one at a time, and to create departments around those genres, right? So like right now we're working on audiobooks. And I'm assuming this is what everybody does anyways. It's not like I'm creating something that hasn't been done before. I'm just realizing it because I'm an idiot and it takes me a while to realize it. But so basically what I'm doing is I figure that, I'm creating more specific landing pages for the specific genres, right? So like right now I'm targeting audiobooks. We have incredible audiobook narrators, a lot of audiobook narrators. We teach, I have tons. I personally am very comfortable in audiobooks. A lot of people who are our coaches, who work with me on Academy Voices and in Elite Academy are very comfortable with audiobooks. Like we know audiobooks backwards and forwards. We know the industry. So we're starting to just our first niche area department, if you will, is audiobooks. So I built out a landing page, right, specifically for audiobooks, okay, through the website. And then what I do from there is I go ahead and start to then drive traffic through socials, because I think what we've identified, right, is just like voice actors, authors are on socials. And what's interesting is sites like ACX, sites like Findaway Voices, sites like Ahab, these places, right, I mean, they're clunky. They don't target authors or places. They don't go to socials. I mean, there's not, there might be, I think there's like B Audio. There's one or two other places that do this, but they're not, I just don't think they're utilizing the communities that we all know so well as voice actors and that we're all in it, that could be. And I think if there's any community that I admire, it's besides authors, of course. Well, I admire all kinds of communities, but it's authors. I mean, the authors community, I wrote my short story, and it's incredible, the author community, how supportive they are, how amazing they are, how many there are, right? And how they're doing the same thing we are. They're looking to try to get their work in front of people, so people are interested in checking it out, right, and learning more about them and them becoming more visible too. And so, we know where the authors are, right? We know where their communities are. So I'm taking a very more narrow niche approach to marketing towards them. And I'm going to be running ads on those specific places for those specific people, not making, paying extra care, because I've been running ads over the last couple of months, over the last 6 months for Academy Voices here and there, learning. I hate to say it, I've spent a lot of money learning, you guys. So when I tell you I step on stuff you don't have to, I'm going to give you some good advice here. Gosh, I've spent a lot of money on failing with ads, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, the more specific, and of course, again, it sounds so simple when I say it because it sounds like, duh, you should know that, Anthony, but you don't when you start things, right? But I can tell you, the more narrow focused, the more specific you can be, right? And the more simple, like one specific area, um, uh, focused on, hyper focused, hyper narrowed with keywords and things on one specific area is way better than just targeting like voiceover. I mean, that is such a rough, like, so what I'm doing is being very specific, not to target that area, right? Because that's not, voiceover can be a million things. And that's where I think I've learned a valuable lesson. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't run those ads, just like on your Fiverr account, you have a main gig. But the reality is, for this, you need to kind of take a step back and look narrow focus. And I would say for you all, when you're trying to market your services, I'm not saying you have to run ads. And the reason why I'm running ads is because I don't have the time to build another VO's journey. I mean, I think one of the greatest things I've ever done is be blessed, or I've been fortunate to be blessed by you all, because you're incredible. Like, you guys support me so much, watch my content, and I put it out, and it's helped me meet so many amazing people and reach so many people for free. But it's taken me years. I mean, you guys know, this taken me years and years and years and years, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I mean, it's probably been thousands now of videos, short videos, articles, podcasts. I mean, just, you know what I mean? And that's wonderful. I mean, it works. It works. If you consistently do this, you will, meet people, you will grow your reach, because, sooner or later you're going to pop up and people are going to see you. And if they like you, they like you. And you'll become, a trusted person in their world. But it takes time. And I realize, like with Academy Voices, right? I need to have a faster way to get more people. Now, I will say I'm thinking about starting a podcast where, and I'd love y'all's feedback on this. I want to start a podcast for Academy Voices where we actually interview authors, we interview publishers, we interview voice actors that are talking about their experiences with audiobooks, their experience with writing, best tips, best practices, how to get started, how to get different levels, all kinds of. I think it would be really cool. I think that would be a really neat podcast. I know there's probably many of those out there, but I think that would be really cool aspect of Academy Voices to have a podcast like that, and that would bring a lot of people together, right? And be able for us to find people, and also, just bring the communities of authors, publishers, and voice actors together in one platform through Academy Voices, to hopefully grow our reach, right? I think that could be cool too. So that's another thing on the on the list. But I guess to sum all this up, what I'm doing, what I'm working on, is really narrowing that focus one part at a time. The next one we're going to be working on, which I'm super excited about, is indie video games. I can't tell you, it's hush hush, super secret. I can't tell you exactly what we're doing with it because it's totally different, and I'm really excited about it. But but one step at a time. I want to get this down pat, like audiobooks, and I want to get it going. I want to get it up and running. I want to get a team in place and hire people, to also work on the back end of this to help as we start getting more work and more audiobooks and things like that. So then we can build another section. I think that's how I'm going to do it. And pulling it all back to the hypothesis. Everything that we do, you guys, or at least that I've done, has been based on just a hypothesis that I had. Like, I bet this would work, right? Or this might work. Now, I can tell you that method causes you to spend a lot of money sometimes, and it can be bad. But I'm hoping that sharing these things with you will allow you to kind of skip some of that. But I've had a lot of these ideas, and it's tough sometimes to move forward with those because you're gonna fail more times than you can succeed. The positive thing is, just like, what was it? Was it Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame or whatever? What did he say? That, all you have to do, I don't know if it's Barry Bonds, but I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was, but he said, in order to get in the Hall of Fame, you just have to strike out 7 out of 10 times. Right? Because those 3 times you're going to hit a home run, and, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. And I think that's something important for us to remember, that, striking out is not bad. Okay, it's just the courage to keep going, because you're going to get another at bat and another at bat and another at bat, and you're going to win. And those wins, all right, are going to far outweigh all the losses that you get. Okay. So with that note, I'm going to end it. This one's been an extra long one. It's because I talked about my life in the beginning of the podcast. I thought you should know about it. Anyways, thank you guys as always for listening. If you want to check out a VO's Journey Elite Academy, we'd love to have you. Right. And then that gets you access to Academy Voices, and check it out. And we're doing an awful lot of stuff, of course, and the main focus of VO's Journey Elite Academy, of course, is helping you start and grow your voiceover business. So love for you to check it out if you want. There's a link below. We're still offering 50% off that first month. So give us a shot and see what you think. All right, guys, you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. I will talk to you all soon. Peace.